Good afternoon. Today we are talking about some words, adverbs, and these are hardly, scarcely, barely, no sooner than. So now these words are quite confusing. Today we are going to make things easy for you with simple sentences, and you'll know how easy it is to use in sentences. So let's get started with hardly, scarcely, barely, and no sooner than. Now, in hardly, the word means in Hindi, शायद ही कभी, शायद ही कभी, ना के बराबर. I hardly have time means मेरे पास वक्त नहीं है, नहीं के बराबर है. Scarcely भी वैसी बात है. I scarcely can go to the market now. मतलब हम नहीं जा पाएंगे. I can scarcely breathe. जब आपकी तबीयत खराब हो जाती है, अब सांस लेने में दिक्कत हो रही है. I can scarcely breathe. Without my glasses, I can scarcely see. देख नहीं पाते हैं. Hardly नहीं के बराबर. Scarcely with the same thing. Barely is also the same thing. I can barely see you. It means I can barely hear you. आपको शायद हम बहुत सुन नहीं पा रहे हैं, शायद ही सुन पा रहे हैं. तो you speak a little loudly. So hardly, scarcely, barely, these are all negative sentences. And no sooner than. No sooner than का मतलब होता है जैसे ही घर से निकलते ही देखा कि मोबाइल छूट गया था. No sooner than I left the house when I saw that my mobile was forgotten. So let us take a look at these sentences, these words. These are all adverbs of frequency or degree. How many times you do something, or the degrees, like to what extent you can see, or to what extent you can hear. कितना सुन पा रहे हैं, कितना देख पा रहे हैं, या नहीं के बराबर. Now, these words describes how many times an action is done, or to what extent any action is done. जब कोई कहानी सुनते हैं आप, so when a story is told in the past tense, the adverbial hardly, scarcely, and barely, and no sooner than are often used to emphasize that. दो चीजों को ध्यान में रखता है, दो चीजों को emphasize करता है, highlight करता है. पहले क्या होता है? पहला क्या है? One event is quickly followed by another. एक event quickly दूसरे event को follow करता है. And secondly, the verb describes the earlier event is usually in the past perfect tense. Examples आप समझेंगे. Let's be a little clear. Hardly had I arrived home when my phone rang. Hardly had I arrived home when my phone rang. जैसे ही मैं घर पहुंची मेरा फोन बज गया. घर पहुंचते ही फोन की घंटी बज गई. Hardly had I arrived home when my phone rang. You can also say like that. As soon as I arrived home, my phone rang. You can also change the structure like, I had hardly arrived home when my phone rang. As soon as I arrived home, my phone rang. So, hardly had I arrived home, इसमें when लग जाता है. Hardly had I arrived home when my phone rang. In Hindi once again, जैसे ही घर पहुंचे उसी वक्त फोन बज गया. Two activities are happening. Reaching home and quickly another event, it means the phone rang. I had hardly come out of my house when it began to rain. घर से निकलते ही बारिश शुरू हो गई. I had hardly come out of my house when it began to rain. I had hardly finished the book when my mother sent me to the bazaar. किताब पढ़ रही थी मैं. किताब जैसे ही मैंने फिनिश किया वैसे ही मेरी माँ ने मुझे बाजार भेज दिया. I had hardly finished the book when my mother sent me to the bazaar. We had hardly reached the garden when it started raining. गार्डन में पहुंचने के साथ बारिश शुरू हो गई. As soon as I, sorry, as soon as we reached the garden when it started raining. You are going to use when जब आप कर रहे हैं. We had hardly reached the garden when it started raining. But जब as soon as we reached the garden, it started raining. The players had hardly reached the ground when the people began to cheer them. जो प्लेयर्स थे जब वो ग्राउंड पे पहुंचते हैं उसी वक्त लोग उनको चीयर करने लगे, उनको विश करने लगे, चीयर करने लगे. I had hardly reached the office when my officer began to scold me. मतलब ऑफिस में पहुंचने के साथ मेरे ऑफिसर ने मुझे डांटना शुरू कर दिया. Began to scold me. I had hardly reached the office when my officer began to scold me. As soon as I reached the office, my officer began to scold me. Now the word scarcely is the same thing, only the word is different. Scarcely. Scarcely had she finished reading when she fell asleep. पढ़ने के तुरंत बाद वो सो गई. She had scarcely finished reading when she fell asleep. Scarcely had she reached home when his son began to jump with joy. Scarcely had he reached home. जैसे ही वो घर पहुंचा उनका जो बेटा था वो खुशी के मारे उछलने लगा, कूदने लगा. Scarcely had he come out of the airport when the police arrested him. एयरपोर्ट से निकलते के साथ पुलिस क्या किया, उसको अरेस्टेड हिम. As soon as he came out of the airport, the police arrested him. Please bear in mind यहाँ पर when use हो रहा है. I had scarcely got up when my father sent me to the bazaar. हम जागे ही थे कि मेरे फादर ने मुझे बाजार भेज दिया. Scarcely had I got up when my father sent me to the bazaar. As soon as I got up, my father sent me to the bazaar. The same thing is with barely. Barely had they won the match when the coach had a heart attack. कभी कभी हो जाता है when you are very happy, खुशी के मारे, when you cannot control your emotions, तो कुछ ऐसा हो जाता है. Barely had they won the match. जैसे ही उन लोगों ने मैच जीता तो कोच को हार्ट अटैक आ गया. इतनी इतनी ज्यादा वो खुश हो गए. Barely means almost not or not just. We don't use it to mean certainly not. खत्म होते ही, काम होते ही. Examples, barely. My salary is barely enough to make ends meet. मतलब उतना ज्यादा नहीं है, उतना इनफ भी नहीं है. My salary is barely enough. मतलब उतना ज्यादा नहीं है कि मैं अपना घर चला सकूं ठीक से. Both ends meet का मतलब होता है अच्छी तरह से निर्वाह कर सकूं. He spoke in such a low voice that I could barely hear what he was saying. वो इतने धीमे बोल रहा था. He spoke in such a low voice that I could barely hear what he was saying. We had barely left home when the car broke down. जैसे ही घर से निकले हम लोग, गाड़ी खराब हो गई. They had barely won the match when the coach had a heart attack. Now, no sooner. No sooner के साथ than आ जाता है. Sooner, soon, sooner, soonest. This is comparative, so you will use than. No sooner had the company launched its new product then it went bankrupt. जैसे ही कंपनी ने, as soon as, no sooner had the company launched its new product, जैसे ही कंपनी ने न्यू प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च किया वो bankrupt हो गया. It means they were in a loss. Bankrupt हो जाना, no money. The company had no sooner launched its new product than it went bankrupt. Now here are some sentences. You may find it simple. As soon as I reached home, they welcomed me. No sooner did I reach home when they welcomed me. The baby started crying as soon as the mother finished cooking. No sooner did the mother finish cooking than the baby started crying. As soon as she took the exam, she felt relieved. No sooner did she take the exam when she felt relieved. जैसे ही मतलब as soon as and no sooner than. जैसे ही उसने ये काम किया तो ये क्या, घर से निकलते ही. No sooner had he left when something else happened. So these were the very simple kind of, all these three mean the same. Hardly when, barely when, scarcely when, but no sooner will take a than because it is a comparative. Like hardly, scarcely, and barely are followed by when, whereas while, no sooner is followed by than. Sooner is the comparative form of soon. Now what you do, you write down your own sentences and make it simple, right? I can hardly see you. It means I can't see you. It's a negative form. I can scarcely hear you. मैं आपको देख नहीं पा रही. I hardly have time for you. मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है. I barely got an hour. मतलब मेरे पास सिर्फ एक घंटे, एक घंटा भी नहीं शायद. I barely have few minutes. And no sooner than. निकलते ही, आते ही, आते ही उसने देखा कि बच्चे हल्ला गुल्ला मचा रहे थे. No sooner had he come when he saw that the children were making a noise. That's all for now, and stay tuned for more videos of which may be of importance to you.